James is having shrimp tempura Greek salad wraps. We're going to talk about Get Smart, Leaves of Grass, Three Generations, Romance and Cigarettes. And it looks like James might talk about a book, but I don't think he will.
Probably won't get around to it, but
No.
get ready. I'll just mention that this is Arthur Schnitzler. Originally, the Zimmerman, Schnitzler is more like a wood carver, but Zimmerman, it means carpenter. It's timberman, something like that in German. Anyway, you've seen Eyes Wide Shut, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was based on this story, published 1926, but was probably written about a time significantly earlier than 26.
Okay, so I put Get Smart the movie above Get Smart the TV series, even though I doubt that other people agreed, because this came out in 2008 and I haven't seen another one yet. And
What happened?
I don't know.
It was a highly successful movie in terms of casting,
Yeah.
and basically overall writing and stuff like that, in terms of humor and in terms of excitement.
I mean, one thing, you have this was a great series. I like the Get Smart series, but you have only, it's half an hour minus the time for commercials, right?
22
episodes,
minutes or
right?
whatever, yeah.
So they're not very long episodes, and you have to scrunch in a lot of humor and entertainment and a mystery for them to solve or whatever, right? So that's pretty impressive that they got that wrapped up in a half an hour. But I was always thinking when I watched it, it's too bad it wasn't longer, right?
Yeah.
And I love the opening thing, when going down the hall, and the closing, going back out. It's very great. All the doors.
I like the opening. The ending always make me sad, and I think it's basically, I wish it went longer, but a lot of time was taken up in that.
Exactly. But it was great time. I wouldn't have cut that out. So they had a lot that they were able to pull from to make this, and they made this into a movie, and I thought they did a really great job. I like Steve Carell, and Anne Hathaway was perfect. A
little bit better actually than Barbara Feldman.
Yeah, maybe so. But they picked the right person to be the character, right, of 99. Yeah. She worked. Both worked, but in a different way. And James and I will talk about the differences of the show. Like James prefers 99, and Hathaway is 99, and how they wrote her, because she's not like the mid-60s sort of
passive.
Yeah, who's just she's actually, in this one, she's the great agent, and Maxwell Smart is not smart.
Not so smart.
No.
It's like his middle name. It's not so.
Yeah. And he's not a great I guess spy or anything like that, right? He just kind of fumbles his way through, but he gets all the glory, and 99 actually does all the thinking and work and
her
stuff
classic
like that, right?
line, his classic line was, "Sorry about that, Chief." He had a variety. Would you believe?
Yeah.
But her classic line, "Oh, Max," putting up with him. Anne Hathaway doesn't put up with him.
No.
Steve Carell's character
nearly as much. So, but then Steve Carell as Max is a very different character in this too. In this one, he's very competent. He's an analyst, and
as an analyst, yeah.
Yes, and he's not only competent as an analyst, but he's proven himself to be qualified to be a spy.
Especially by losing as much weight as he did.
Yeah. And so we
kind of feel a bit more.
He proves himself to her through the show, and I think that's really great. And I like the way she has a dog at the end, because I think I don't know if they named the dog, but it must be Fang, right?
Something like that.
Yeah. So, but anyway, we'll see. I hope that they come up with another one. They should be coming up with one of these movies every year.
Or every 5 years. How often do they come up with?
It should be every year. It really, they have a lot they can work with. These guys came up with this many episodes in just 5 seasons. They can come up with one Get Smart movie every year. They should be doing it because before the actors get too old to play the parts, because they have found the perfect actors to play these parts. So
it's not just them. I prefer the chief in this one somewhat.
I like him in this.
Edward Platt or whatever his name was awesome in the other one, but maybe a little bit dithering. This guy is way more competent. Stuff like that.
So, and I even like Dwayne Johnson in this. I thought he was cast well.
Dunk it. Yeah, exactly.
And I think he did a great job. So
up to this point in time, probably the only time he's been properly cast in a role is as a wrestler in WWE or whatever they call it. But yeah.
And it got a few laughs out of me. What more do you want?
You mean Dwayne Johnson?
But, no, the whole
show. A lot of laughs for me.
Yeah.
And you were laughing quite loudly by times. So there are different types of laughter with Pauline, and she's having a really good time.
I especially like it when I cackle. When I cackle, that's my happiest laugh. It's a really embarrassing one, I suppose, but for other people who have to be around me, maybe. But I love it.
Not for me. I mean, most women wouldn't laugh as loudly as you, but women should be able to laugh like you do. So there's nothing to be uncomfortable about or anything like that. It's just the way it should be.
So, even though those are not Susan Sarandon, I'm still doing the Susan Sarandon marathon, and there's the last 3 in the stack were Susan Sarandon. So, or Susan Sarandon, however you say her name. Don't know. So anyway, this is when we watched Leaves of Grass. At first, the title, I'm like, Leaves of Grass, shouldn't it be blades? And that, no, they're talking about drugs. So they're talking about marijuana leaves. But anyway, we got to the end of this movie. It's sort of comical, whatever. And I turned to James and I said, I don't even know what the point to that movie was. You know, like they have pretensions of poetry in here that not poetry. No, that was short prose.
So that's where someone was reciting really Walt Whitman or wherever?
Well, they were talking about Walt Whitman, and they gave the character gave her own poetry, but it's not poetry, it's prose. And she was talking about how we can make our own rules. A poet, you know, she was talking about Walt Whitman and how he could make his own rules. He didn't need to follow anybody else's.
Rhythm.
Yeah, and
prose is not intricate. It's random. Random is not intricate.
It's like the opposite.
Yeah, it's like conglomerate or you know, like gravel mixed with sand or whatever. It's not intricate. It's just you wouldn't even call it complicated.
No.
Poetry should be complex.
Anyway, so that's always frustrating. But the movie itself wasn't good, and what James said was he liked it. He thought, well,
reasonably well.
He said the point was to show Edward Norton his capabilities as an actor. And they did show that.
We both agreed even before this.
He did a good job. And
he's
a good actor anyway. I didn't need to see this to know that. And honestly, I wish I hadn't seen this to try. This was a waste of my time as far as
the problems weren't his though. You know?
No, they weren't.
Anyway, the one thing I wanted to point out, especially here, This guy's a spitting image for Edward Norton of Patrick Waugh, the kind of ne'er-do-well but very effective Montreal and Colorado Avalanche goaltender. It's amazing.
Mm.
One of the few goaltenders who actually would go out of his way to get a fight. You know what I'm saying? Racing across the goaltenders generally have to fight each other.
Well,
Racing
it's
the
a
full length of the ring.
testosterone thing. I don't understand it.
Yeah,
but
Patrick Waugh
guys
just
really
had trouble
seem to
with
love
his.
the bar fights and whatnot. So anyway, talking about that, 3 generations has Naomi Watts, Elle Fanning, and Susan Sarandon. And Elle Fanning, you can see kind of a tomboy here. Well, actually, a boy. The character is a boy who is in a female body, wants the sex change or whatever you call it, new sexual reassignment. I think that's what they're calling it. Anyway,
Don't try too hard to memorize that because they'll come up with another
a new one.
basically.
Yeah, exactly. So, and the Elle Fanning's character is 16 years old and so needs parental consent. And the issue of female genital mutilation is brought up in here, and it has to be brought up when anybody is talking about this subject, because it is it's genital mutilation, and
or cutting, as it's called by
that is what it
useful
is.
idiots.
And whether it's done to one sex or another, it is child abuse, frankly.
If people
So-
want to make that part of their religion, they make it when it's the age of consent, 18, 21, whatever, not on their children.
Yeah. In this movie, Romance and Cigarettes, an adult man, he's very much an adult, he's getting towards the end of his life as it's turning out in the show, but he's certainly middle-aged or maybe a little older. It's hard to know when people get overweight, really. But anyway, so he thinks that he's asking a friend, and he's thinking about getting circumcised because he thinks that women might prefer a circumcised penis. So I only know of one person who got circumcised as an adult,
Oh,
and it
was
didn't
excruciating
end up
for him.
working. Yeah, it was painful for him, and his the woman who suggested he get it done ended up leaving him. So,
Wow.
and he said afterward the sex wasn't as good and stuff like that. So anybody who's thinking about getting it done, and I can say from a female's perspective, I preferred uncircumcised penises 100% of the time. All the time, uncircumcised penises are preferable. So, because if a person is like, what is the point to having sex if you're going to dull the feeling? You want to be feeling everything as it should be felt, shouldn't it be that way? Anyway, but as an adult, that's a person's choice to do what they want with their genitalia. I think the age of recognized adulthood should be 25, because that's when your prefrontal cortex is fully developed, not before then. So 18, some crazy arbitrary number, that's silly, but 16, definitely way too young. So when a person is an adult, and I'm saying over 25, then they can make a choice as to what they want to do with their genitalia. But before that point, it's not right. And I don't think it should be, I don't think a doctor should be able to decide that without parental consent, but I don't think parents should be able to decide that either. A person needs to decide that for themselves once they're an adult. And I realize that there are complications with allowing children to develop, and then it makes it more difficult for them to opt for a different sex or whatever. But it's just the way it is. And I know that, like, they brought up the issue of, oh, well, what if Elle Fanning's character, what if he decides to commit suicide because this is such a stressful, he wants this operation, he wants the consent to have this, have the testosterone and the change anyway. And what if that just makes this person decide to commit suicide? And that's got to be every parent's biggest fear, really, right? Adolescence is a difficult time for people. But you know what? This body, the bodies that we're in, we're not in them forever. And we're in them because we're meant to be in them. For whatever reason, we don't know what it is, but we're in this body and we have to take care of it for our life. We have this, I have this obligation, really, to take care of all of my probiotic bacteria and all of my cells as best to my ability so that they can enjoy their lives. This universe me, right? But, it's interesting that teenagers are so preoccupied with what they look like as who they are or whatever, and it's inside that counts. And a lot of women will say, as they're getting older, they'll look in the mirror and they'll say, who is that old woman? And it's a common thing for women to laugh about with each other, or, kind of laughing on the...
Well, guys have the same thing. It probably doesn't affect them as much, but it's shocking when you first experience that, where you look over and you say, who is that old guy? And oh, that's me. Okay.
Yeah. Because...
it happens to men too.
Yeah, your bodies change as you age, and it's not how you see yourself. It's not how it's not you anymore as how you think of yourself as being. And so does that mean that everybody should get plastic surgery and whatever so that we'll be happy in our bodies when it's ridiculous.
Well, what I'll say to that is that people shouldn't be encouraged to do it. They shouldn't really be discouraged to do it. But there's no way elective surgery like that, plastic surgery, should be paid for out of the public purse. So let's look at plastic surgery for Michael Jackson. There are people who have, his dad used to call him Big Nose and all that sort of stuff. No way someone should have that kind of surgery before they turn 18, or as Pauline says, 25 or 21 or whatever. It doesn't matter whether they get parental approval or whatever. It shouldn't be allowed. And there might be some people in Michael Jackson's situation who would want to commit suicide because they've got a big nose or whatever.
But then, do they need the surgery, or do they need some counseling and stuff like that? Do they need to actually accept themselves for who they are and love themselves for who they are?
Now, there are people who go through horrible sort of stuff. Let's say someone's had horrible scarring from burning and stuff like that. medical, if they're underage, the medical stuff should be approved and should be subsidized by public funding and stuff like that. But,
Anyway, so that's really all I wanted to talk about with these. This is not worth watching at all, and it's not worth talking about. So
the big trouble is people are talking about it, and they're making one of the weird things about left-wing stuff is they're moving. It's just like what they want. It's like the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. Like they get what they want, and then they want more. And oftentimes nowadays, it's just like silly craziness. This isn't so much silly craziness, but there's a lot of silly craziness involved in what, like what I want to see some stats, like how many people are actually committing suicide when they're in this situation, because that's the way it's presented, like save our kids, or, I see a sign in the neighborhood. It's something like that. And I feel sad for people in that situation, but I don't know. I just don't. I've never heard of there being this horrible plague of people wanting or feeling as though they need sex change or whatever the politically correct buzzword is nowadays. Operation just killing themselves. Sometimes people just kill themselves. I mean, I'm reminded of a person who I was told about, who had had bone marrow cancer, possibility of stem cell therapy, and they still killed themselves. Like, who's responsible? Some people can't handle things. Who's responsible for that? I had a sister who was suicidal. She was schizophrenic. Who was responsible for that? No one. She was born that way.
all right. Well, you have 6 minutes.
I figured it was 5.
Yeah. I don't know if you want to talk about the way he walked with his hands like this, or if you want to talk about the accident that we saw.
Okay, I want to talk about the accident.
4th. Like, it was crazy.
Okay.
There was a PT Cruiser that was totally flipped upside down.
It was a PT Cruiser. I was too stressed out. I didn't even notice what it was. I was figuring it was something like a van or SUV.
Yeah.
And it was a vehicle of somewhat the same size.
And the front end was just totally squished. And I don't know how they were going to get those people out. Like, while we were leaving,